Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. It is extremely rainy and extremely windy outside today. So I am actually inside today trying to stay dry and trying to stay warm and getting some DIY projects done indoors. What I wanted to work on today, last week I worked on making over my front porch, my front patio, kind of like by my front door for spring, and it turned out beautifully. I absolutely love it, but I do have this area, kind of like a wall, that needed something, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I've always kind of admired the moss letters that you can find on the Pottery Barn website. I think that they're really, really beautiful, and I would love to have something like that in my garden. But of course, Pottery Barn, sometimes it might be a little bit out of our budgets, and so I thought, I could probably do that myself. I could probably DIY that myself. I've seen those wooden letters for sale at the craft store. I've seen moss for sale. I have a hot glue gun, and so I decided to try it and see if I could make a Pottery Barn dupe myself. And I think it turned out pretty good. So you can see I've made a J here, and I've tied some string to it. On the back, I do have this little picture hanger that I hooked on, and I think it looks really pretty, and it actually was incredibly easy. So I am planning to make 3 more letters. I am planning to make JJSS, and that stands for Janie, Jason, Sadie, and Shay. Those are the members of my family. JJSS has a lot of meaning to us. When my second daughter, Shay, was born, I had a really good friend give me a necklace that said JJSS on it, and it just really meant a lot to us in our family. So JJSS has kind of it's been really meaningful for us. We always put that whenever anybody pours concrete on our property. I always write JJSS in there. So it's a really cute thing to make as our letters and to have hung up right by our front door. So I wanted to bring you all along and show you how I made this. Like I said, it was pretty easy, and it was a fraction of the cost of getting it from the store. Okay, so as for supplies to make these DIY moss letters, what I did is I found these wooden letters at the craft store. I actually found these on Amazon as well. It was just the delivery was just taking a little bit too long, so I figured I would go and I would get them at the craft store. One thing I would say is if they did have white ones at the craft store, and I wouldn't get the white ones, I would get the wood color ones or the black ones, because you don't want any signs of white peeking out through the moss once you get the moss on your letters. If you can only find white, then you can paint it like a green color or a black color, just so that if you have any spaces through that moss, you're not gonna see it. So have your letters, and then obviously have your glue gun. I have this really, really old one, but it works fine, and lots of glue sticks. And then I also purchased these picture hangers. They're called ring picture hangers. I will have this linked on Amazon as well, on my Amazon store. But I figured that I really wanted to hang these with ribbon. So I got some white satin ribbon. I just like the look of them being hung with ribbon, so I wanted to put picture hangers on the back. These letters do have spots where you can kind of just hook them into like a nail or a screw, so you don't actually need to get the picture hangers and the ribbon. I just like that look, so that's why I wanted to do that. And then of course we have moss. I'm just using super moss. This is preserved forest moss. There's lots of other options that you can have, but this is the one that I thought would be the prettiest and look the most like that Pottery Barn moss letter that I saw. And then one more thing I will say is that I used my drill to make a pilot hole for these picture hanging rings, because you do screw them in. You do not need to use a drill. You can just screw them in. This wood is soft enough already. One thing I did mess up on this first J is you need to make sure that you put the picture hanging ring so that it's centered. If you hold it over here, the letter's going to be hanging crooked, so you need to make it centered. These were actually really easy because they did have this slot on the back, so I could see exactly where the center was. But if you don't have that, you kind of want to just hold it and make sure wherever you hold it, it centers itself. It levels itself up and down. All right. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little bit of a pilot hole. I purchased this pack off of Amazon. It did come with these little itty bitty screws. And then I have this little itty bitty screwdriver that I'm using as well. All right, and there's that. Now I do have to say, the moss does make a mess. So just kind of be prepared. I just tried to glue it as many times as glue each spot as much as I could without getting a little bit too obsessive over it. But you can see it does kind of make a mess. But I think it'll all shake out once I leave it hanging for a while. I would say just work in really small sections so the glue doesn't dry before you get a chance to get your moss on it. Okay, so I figured out leaving an edge kind of overlapping the edge of the letter was the easiest way to be able to get it around on the edges, because you definitely want to put moss on the edges, because as you walk, at least where it's going to be for me, as you walk, I don't want to see the edges of the wood. So I found that if you just overlap it a little bit and then take your glue and then you can kind of fold it over like that, that was the easiest way to get it overlapping and still looking nice and clean. Well, as clean as this moss letter is gonna look. I think it's time for a new glue gun for me. What do you guys think? Okay, and then once I got it all covered with moss, looks a little bit messy, I just came through with some scissors and I just started trimming the back. Kind of like that. And then if I had to trim the edges, I'll do that too. Isn't that cute? I love it. All right, let me clean up a little bit and then we will put the ribbon on. All right. So I'm just taking an extra long piece of ribbon just because I don't know how much I need. I know I want to do like a bow once I get it hanging outside, but I'm just gonna wait for that. And there it is. Like I said, made a mess. But these will be outside, so that's fine. So I'm hanging this outside. It is under a covered area. I don't think that these will hold up very well if you hang it outside where it can get wet with rain. But yeah, I love them. I think they're so pretty. Hopefully you can see this okay. It is so dark out here right now. I love it. I think it looks so incredibly beautiful. I think it turned out absolutely perfectly. The hardest part was getting them hung at the same level because I used that ribbon. That made it really, really difficult. So I did misspeak. I didn't actually use forest moss. I only used sheet moss. I actually purchased 2 separate bags of moss and I didn't realize that they were different. I didn't realize I had purchased 1 forest moss and 1 sheet moss. I actually really like the sheet moss look a lot more because it has has a little bit of brown in it, so it kind of has this dappled moss look instead of just like all green. And I think it looks a little bit closer to the inspiration of the Pottery Barn moss letters. So yeah, so I think it looks really great. I used about 2 bags of those sheet moss, the smaller bags. I used a ton of glue sticks, and then I used a little bit of ribbon. I think I overdid it on the ribbon and did really big bows, but I think it looks really pretty like that. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope it motivates you to get some DIY projects done. If you're having bad weather like we are here in California, and if you are able to, I hope you have a chance to get in your garden today.